Hello and welcome to the seed treatment demo at the Field of Dreams demonstration site. I'm Nicole Stecklein and I'm the Technical Agronomist for DeKalb and Asgrow in Eastern Iowa. Like I said, I am out in the seed treatment demo. I've got 4 rows here of a 95-day DeKalb hybrid. 2 rows to the south along the road are poorly treated seeds. So these don't have nearly the level of insecticide or fungicide that we want these seeds to have. The 2 rows to the north to the baseball field, these have the correct level of insecticide and fungicide. What was I trying to accomplish here? Because I basically have untreated and treated. What I was trying to do, I wasn't trying to say one ingredient's better than the other ingredient, or if you upgrade, you're going to get this many more bushels per acre and you're going to be making, that wasn't what I was going after. With this demonstration, I wanted to look at the question, what is the foundation of our expectations of a seed treatment? What do we expect it to do? And what does it look like if we just don't have it at all? I think it was something that we needed to consider and look at, because when we buy a bag of seed corn, it's a given. We expect the seed treatment to be here. So what do we expect these seed treatments to do for us? So first and foremost, it's about insects and it's about diseases. So when it comes to the insecticides, the primary, well, I guess it would be the secondary pests that we're going after in the soil are going to be wireworms, white grubs, and seed corn maggots. Those are kind of our top 3 secondary pests going after our very young corn crop in eastern Iowa. The other thing that we're looking for is, because of the systemic nature of these insecticides, we want these young plants to be sucking up that insecticide and then giving us some activity on some of the insects such as black cutworm. Now, the levels that we put on our hybrids right now are not high enough to get us to take care of some of the later season pests. So when we think about corn rootworm larvae or European corn borer or stalk borer, we depend on our traits to give us activity on that. Because when you think about a seed treatment, I don't like to think about, do I have to rely on a soil applied insecticide to give me activity on the entire root mass? I'm going to rely on my top of class biotech traits. So that's our expectation from an insecticide standpoint. So on the seedling diseases standpoint, we are trying to mitigate our risk from the cool and wet soil temperatures. So we're trying to make sure that we don't lose stand because of Pythium, Fusarium, Rhizoctonia, and other seedling diseases. Our primary ones in eastern Iowa are Pythium and Fusarium, by far and large. Not only that, but with our earlier planted corn, which we seem to be going to more and more every year, it takes these plants a lot longer to get up and going out of the ground. So these small plants, when they're just coming out of the ground, they rely on the seed and the radical and seminal roots, those very first root systems. We are relying on that as a food source for these plants until they shoot out their nodal root systems. And that's not going to happen until about V3 or V4, when those are finally starting to become useful. So the crown and the mesocotyl, that piece of tissue, that tube between the seed and the crown of the plant, those are absolutely vital. And we need that fungicide there to protect those vital resources until they can until they can leave the nest and take care of themselves and use their nodal root system and the sun to feed themselves. So that's what we are looking for from our fungicides. So what do you get in a bag of DeKalb seed corn? So going forward, anything that was 3 years old or newer is going to be coming with the 500 level of clethianidin, or the insecticide that we have on there. So it used to be that the double pros were at 250 and the smart stacks were at the 500 level. Going forward, everything is going to be at the 500 level. Additionally, anything with that's 3 years old or newer is also going to have the ramped up version of our fungicide, and that's referred to as EDC, or Enhanced Disease Control. So by doing that, we're really picking up a lot of activity on the Fusarium pathogen, which has been wreaking havoc in my area for the last couple of years. We've been having earlier planting, we've been having cool and wet conditions, and it's really increased the overall pathogen load in our soils, and it's been making our plants more susceptible. So we're trying to make sure that all of our plants get off to a good start, because we know how important it is to have the stand and have it even, and then not only that, but keep them from becoming infected, particularly from a pathogen like Fusarium, because these plants can become infected with Fusarium, but it might not kill them. But as we get to the stress of grain fill later in the season, that stress might be able to be enough to reactivate that Fusarium infection. If you get crown death, then you get stalk cannibalization to fill that ear, and then you get stalk rot and down corn. And down corn means less corn and a pretty bad mood when you're sitting in the combine. So we've got the insecticide, we've got the fungicide. So we've got the two hard chemistries. The last thing that we're putting on the seed is also a biological called BioRise. So the biologicals, what they are made to do is to basically increase our overall root volume. So when you think about the root system, what is it trying to do? It's trying to extract water and nutrients from the soil that it comes into contact to. And it's not just this one little root right here. It's the reason why they're good is because it's a root plus many root hairs. And the more root hairs you have, the bigger volume of soil you can get nutrients and water from, because you're essentially increasing the overall surface area that roots are coming into contact with. So we're able to increase our nutrient and water uptake by having root hairs. So what we can do is put a product like BioRise on there, which increases the beneficial relationship that we have with soil microbes. So when you think about beneficial soil fungi, mycorrhizae, and things like that, they will form a relationship with these roots. And then they almost act as another set of root hairs. So then we're further increasing the volume of soil that we're pulling nutrients and water through. On top of that, these soil microbes also do a very good job of breaking down particularly phosphorus and then actually bringing it to the plant, because the plant is making and sharing sugars with these microbes, and in return we're getting more water and nutrients because we have more soil that we're able to extract it from. So what exactly are we seeing? That's all fine and good, but what does it mean for the field? So while this isn't completely untreated seed, there is some on there. When I came through and took stand counts, there were 3,000 more plants in my good treated stand. And it's tough to see here in the video, in the camera, but my treated plants are slightly larger than my untreated plants. So they've got a little bit more vigor. I would put that down as because of the BioRise. Something else that I want you to notice, this is a root that I pulled from the untreated seed, and this is a root that I pulled from this was untreated, this was treated. So we also have a root mass difference between the two, and I pulled them from one side to the other, so they were plants that were directly across from each other. One thing that I was really able to notice a difference in, besides for the 3,000 extra plants that we were getting in the treated seed over the poorly treated seed, was just the consistency of the stand. So if we look here in the untreated, we've got a fair amount of gaps in our stand in the untreated seed. Whereas when we look to our treated seed, we aren't missing a whole lot of plants. And not only that, but the plant size is much more consistent than on the untreated side. Now, you've heard everything that I've had to say and what we're trying to accomplish with seed treatments, and you can take it for what it's worth, but you're here. Come on in and see it for yourself.